Live.
Good evening. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting on the 22nd of March 2021. I now open the meeting at 7 p.m. and I'll pass on to our Chief Executive who will read out the formalities.
Welcome all. This is an ordinary meeting of Council. My name's Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer. Due to current directions from the Chief Health Officer and limits due to COVID-19, we are unable to welcome the public to tonight's meeting. Temporary amendments have been made to Council's request to speak and public question process to continue to allow participation without having to attend tonight's meeting. Request to speaks tonight will be in the format of a pre-recorded video and written statements that will be read out on the residents' behalf. The Council meeting will be live streamed via our website and Facebook pages, and we thank you for tuning in to tonight's meeting and for adapting with us during these changing times. Rules for public participation during the request to speak process are as follows. Please note that any public questions submitted to tonight's Council meeting will be printed and answered in the minutes. Council does not accept questions as part of the request to speak process. No statements may be derogatory, defamatory or directed to an individual councillor, member of staff, ratepayer or member of the public. A 2-minute time limit temporarily applies to all requests to speaks and the timer will be used and a warning will sound at the 1.5 minute mark and officers will sum up for the last 30 seconds if required for statements that are being read out on residents' behalves. I will now introduce you to the councillors and officers in attendance for tonight's meeting in order of seating to your left. We have Jeff Glynn, Director of Assets and City Services, Scott Walker, Director of City Development, Councillor Mark Di Pasquale, Councillor Elizabeth Neely, Councillor Alida McKern, Councillor Peter Castaldo, the Mayor, Councillor Rick Garotti, Councillor Fiona Mitsinakos, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Tom Malikan, Councillor Alison Champion, Councillor Peter Dimorellis, Kath Brackett, Director of Community Programs, Mark Gilio, Director of Corporate Services, and Gina Burnham, Manager of Governance and Communication. Also here tonight supporting the Council are members of the Governance and IT teams and our JETS team coordinating our live stream this evening. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Our meeting is being held on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and on behalf of Banyule City Council, I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians. I'd also like to pay our respects to the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung elders, past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders joining us today. Council is committed to and values diversity within our community, and I'll read our statement on diversity that demonstrates our commitment. We're a diverse community made up of people from different cultures, beliefs, abilities, bodies, ages, sexualities, genders and identities. We're committed to inclusion, access and equity for everyone. These principles foster cohesiveness, empower people and improve the wellbeing of the Banyule community. Apologies and leave of absence. Would any councillor wish to advise of any leave of absence that's planned? No, and I note that all councillors are in attendance. Confirmation of minutes for the ordinary meeting of council held on the 1st of March 2021. Can I have a councillor move? Councillor Malikan and seconded Councillor Dimorellis. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest that councillors wish to raise? No, we will note that there were no disclosures. We don't have any scheduled presentations this evening. We don't have any urgent business. There are no petitions. There are no reports in the people section of the agenda. There are no reports in the participation section of the agenda, which brings us to section 5 place. Item 5.1. 93 Watsonia Road, Watsonia, packaged liquor licence P1550/2020. We have one speaker, Chris McArdle, and a written statement will now be read by our Director of Corporate Services, Mark Gillio. Thank you, Mark.
Speaking on behalf of Chris McArdle, who's against the recommendation, I am saddened and disappointed by the Council's decision to support a third liquor sales outlet in Watsonia shopping precinct. It would seem that Council has outright rejected all of the concerns that local residents have about this commercial venture. Potential antisocial behaviour, increased crime, inappropriate location, proximity to residential area, excessive concentration of bottle shops, competing adjacent uses. These objections by Watsonia residents are justified, and it would be nice to know why each of these objections seem to have been dismissed as not relevant. Yes, the proposed site is located in an area designated as Watsonia alcohol-free zone. Therefore, the consumption of alcohol is prohibited around the site. What a shame council officers and police are never present to enforce this regulation, as public drinking is regular occurrence in this area due to the existing 2 liquor outlets. I know because I have seen it happen regularly. The proposed liquor licence is considered unlikely to result in antisocial behaviour and negatively impact upon the amenity of the local area. What study was undertaken that came to the conclusion that the increase in antisocial behaviour is unlikely to occur? Obviously, those entrusted with making such a decision are more than happy to gamble with the safety and well-being of Watsonia residents. I would say it is very likely that those that have given this proposal the green light are most unlikely to live in Watsonia area and unlikely to do their shopping in this strip. The links between alcohol consumption, antisocial behaviour and crime are well known. I'm also sad as a local Watsonia resident that this proposal has been approved by Council. Those entrusted with such an important decision have not listened to the people who call this area home. With a stroke of a pen, they've made Watsonia the cheap grog capital of Banyule. Shame on you.
Thank you, Director. You fitted it in just in time. So, just for clarification for our speaker who may be listening this evening, Council will actually be considering the item now. So Council has certainly not approved the item. It is an officer recommendation to Council. Councillors, I understand we have wording that differs to our recommendation in the papers. Councillor Di Pasquale.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. If I may move an alternate recommendation, I'll just read if I may.
Yes, please.
The Council, having complied with Section 52, 58, 60, 61 and 62 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, resolved to issue a refusal to grant a planning permit in respect of application P1550/2020 to allow the sale of packaged liquor at 93 Watsonia Road, Watsonia, on the following grounds. 1. The proposed sale of packaged liquor would have an adverse impact on the amenity of the area due to the cumulative impact of the new licensed premise with the existing licensed premises in the Watsonia Activity Centre, contrary to the provisions of Clause 52.27, licensed premises of the Banyule Planning Scheme. Point 2, the proposed sale of packaged liquor would have an adverse impact on the amenity of the area due to the hours of operation of the new licensed premise, having regard to the hours of existing licensed premises in the Watsonia Activity Centre, contrary to the provisions of Clause 52.27, licensed premises of the Banyule Planning Scheme. So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, and I'll second that motion. Councillor, do you wish to speak?
Yes, Mayor, please. So thank you to our submitter this evening, and thank you for many emails, phone calls and contact from the community on this matter, Mayor. Look, at the advertising phase, I did go down to the Watsonia shopping strip, Mayor, and drop into all the businesses in that area and ask the owners and what was their view on this planning permit during the advertising phase. And overwhelmingly, it was like, we don't need another packaged outlet in Watsonia. Maybe a wine bar or something like that, which draws people into the area, draws people coming to meet friends and family, etc., in a controlled environment. But a packaged liquor outlet is not what the traders themselves see as a positive for the area. I was contacted by the President and also the Secretary of the Watsonia Traders Association, so thank you for your contact and your feedback as well. So overall, with regards to businesses in the area, they don't think it's the right thing for the area. Then after the closing of the advertising period, Mayor, the officers did their work on the application, and we had 15 objections, formal objections coming into this application, and I think that's very significant. And also, I've been keeping an eye on the Watsonia Community Voice Facebook page, so thank you very much for your posts there and your opinions there, and definitely many emails and phone calls I've received have been an overwhelming, we don't need another packaged liquor outlet in this area, maybe a wine bar, something that can draw the community together, so that will be a much better outcome. And then, on behalf of Council as well, Mayor, Council is embarking on the new town square. There's $5.5 million from the state government to build a new town square, which is under, planning and consultation at the moment. We have the RSL there, we have our library there for the community. This is really an opportunity to build a Watsonia that draws people in where they can spend time in the area. Not just come in, buy liquor and then go home and, be isolated and be alone at home. Because we've had enough of that last year, Mayor, through COVID, etc. We need to be brought out into the community and spend time with each other. So we also see that the building that the application that we're making the decision on tonight is actually for lease, Mayor, as well. So it's not like the owner is, wanting, this to be a corner or a foundation block of the community. The owner of this premises really is open to all ideas, and they're probably just filling out the market to see what sort of rentals they can possibly get. So for all these reasons, Mayor, I think that this application is not the best fit for the Watsonia Centre, definitely not for the community. So on behalf of the community, I'm wanting my councillors to really seriously think about this and to follow my alternative recommendation to refuse this planning permit. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No? I think you've summed things up quite well, Councillor. I don't have anything further to add. I had a good conversation with the president of the Watsonia Traders over the weekend. He was very impressed, the traders and the local community, with how quickly you as a councillor are getting to know the new part of your ward and the tremendous amount of work that you've done to speak to the community, to speak to the traders and get abreast of the issue. So I thought I'd formally acknowledge that really positive feedback. And I support your comments entirely, and I certainly also commend this alternative recommendation to the council.
Thank you, Mayor. Does that mean, did you speak on that item? Does that mean I get a right of reply?
You can take up a right of reply if you wish.
Thank you, Mayor, because I do want to mention, with regard, there was a bit of talk amongst our councillor group about the possibility of the applicant going to VCAT. Look, that is a possibility that the community does need to understand. But Mayor, look, if we do vote on this tonight and we do refuse this application and the owner of the premises or the permit applicant wants to take it to VCAT, that's in their hands. Everyone has a right to take it to VCAT. But I will be more comfortable, Mayor, allowing the applicant to go to VCAT rather than us granting this permit and then many people in our community having to band together and say, right, are we going to take this to VCAT? Let's take this to VCAT, and how can we take this to VCAT? So I think for myself, to be able to sleep tonight, to be able to be, to speak on behalf of the community, I would much rather refuse this application. If it does have to go to VCAT, the applicant can take it there, okay, and they can fight it at VCAT and have their day in court. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Sleep well tonight, Councillor. Item 5.2, minor corrections to Amendment C120, postcode 3081 Urban Design Framework. We don't have any speakers, and I'll seek a mover for the recommendation on our papers. Moved Councillor Di Morales and seconded Councillor Mitsinakos. Councillor, do you wish to speak to the item? Councillor Mitsinakos? Does any other councillor wish to speak? I'll put the motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? I declare that motion carried. Item 6.1, Manual 2041, Shaping Our Future, the Stage 1 Community Engagement Findings. We don't have any speakers and we do have a recommendation in our papers. I have a councillor move. Moved Councillor Champion and seconded Councillor Neely. Councillor Champion, do you wish to speak? Councillor Neely, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor Grotti. This was a great report. Shaping Our Future is an important engagement project that reaches out to the Banyule community, targeting a range of stakeholders through different forums, workshops, focus groups and surveys. It's quite a thorough process. I found it interesting to see there's been consistent feedback, and for me, the important part of this process is that the findings are shared with the wider community. This process has allowed Council to continue to keep the dialogue open with the community and reaffirm the community values that we are talking about all the time. And, you know, it's fair to say our councillors are aware of these values. And just to name a few, in particular, open space and the natural environment and a strong local economy. Another aspiration was for a sustainable future, and I see those two things working together for a sustainable future. So one that protects both the environment and the economy, which is a very difficult trade-off. It's the biggest trade-off of governments being forward-thinking and innovative and planned is the only way that we can achieve both. The other part was to be an active community, and I see that as being engaged, an engaged community with each other, as well as through events, connected with events, through groups, through services provided by council. Sorry, I was a bit loud. And an active community to me also means to be healthy, healthy of mind and body. The pandemic forced us into an alternate situation that we haven't all recovered from, and the adjustments from the past year are still with us now. You know, there are lots of offices in different corporate situations where people, you know, go to work and there's only a few people in the office. They're not even running at 25%, let alone 50%. Not to mention the businesses that have suffered, families, homeschooling, having it tough, and I have to mention the elderly and the vulnerable members of the community restricted, you know, in ways where they had to protect their health or any emotional struggle, losing confidence to go out, those sorts of things, which is why I look forward to the next stage of the community working group to develop a community vision. These sorts of things are very important and keeps council relevant and in touch with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKern, did you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report, it does focus on the positive aspects of the community engagement process, which is a good thing, but neglects to articulate community concerns. Saying focus areas does not necessarily identify the challenges. During the Shaping Banyule consultation process, the community has expressed its concerns about loss of neighbourhood character due to loss of large canopy trees and the increase of built form bulk in Banyule suburbs, which has also increased traffic and parking issues, another concern that has been raised during the consultation process. I'd like the officers to note that the report, while recognising Banyule's values, aspirations and focus areas, which is fundamental to developing a vision, should also recognise community concerns and challenges regarding loss of natural environment and neighbourhood character in allowing for more diverse housing choices, and that the vision should consider resource allocation to protecting our natural environment and neighbourhood character in the face of more diverse housing development. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor. Does any other councillor? Councillor Mitsinukos.
Thanks, Mayor. I've really enjoyed being part of the Banyule 2041 Shaping Our Future workshops. So I've attended several of them, including the Viewbank Scouts workshop, where I listened to the Ventura Age group who were talking about Banyule and, I guess, from the eyes of a teenager. And I have to say their knowledge on environmental issues really impressed me. I think community involvement is so important, and I encourage residents to take the time and get involved to help shape our future in Banyule.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Malakan.
Yeah, I've been to a few of these things, and it's amazing even how the same themes come through every time, and no matter who you talk to, the same issues arise again and again and again, and it's all about protecting our neighbourhoods. It's about climate change, it's about employment. I was particularly impressed with the Scouts and their input, and I thought that was excellent, but I'd just like to thank the staff, because community engagement is incredibly difficult, and I think they've done an excellent job to promote, encourage and facilitate some very good engagement processes with lots of different community members. So I'm very happy, I'm very supportive of what the staff have done and looking forward to their final outcomes.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor? Oh, Councillor Castaros.
I think it's been an interesting process to go through, and I've tried to go into as many different ones as possible that had different themes, and each of the different stakeholder groups were sending a very common message, I felt, whenever I attended them, and I thought that we may get very different messages when we went to different groups, but I felt that it was very similar, regardless of what stakeholder group they were. So that was one message that I felt was the most important thing for me to hear, and I think it's consistent with a lot of the strategies we have currently, but will also give us further momentum on some that are dear to my heart around the environment. And so I'm looking forward to the next steps as we go through this future planning for the council.
Thank you, Councillor. I think that's it. Look, I'll just echo comments from Deputy Mayor to acknowledge the great work of the staff, and in particular I believe the process was led by one of our officers, Kamal, and if he is listening or does hear the message, just a personal note from myself as a Mayor on behalf of Council to say we're very blessed to have you come on board, and I think together with the rest of the team you've led a great process, so thank you. I will now put the motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? Declare that carried. 6.2, Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board and Audit Committee vacancy. We don't have any speakers. And this item is to determine nominations for the positions of delegate to the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board and the Audit Committee. I now call for nominations for delegate of the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board and Audit Committee.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Neely.
Thank you, Councillor, and I will second that nomination. Are there any more nominations? No? As there's only been one nomination.
And before you go any further, should we be calling for the nominations of the delegates before we actually, at the same time?
If you'd allow me to continue the process,
Sorry,
we'll
Mayor.
get to that, Councillor. As there's only been one nomination, being Councillor Neely, this creates a vacancy for sub-delegate of the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board and Audit Committee. I'll now call for nominations for sub-delegate of the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board and Yarra Plenty Regional Library Audit Committee. Councillor Champion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to nominate Councillor Alida McKern.
Thank you, Councillor, and I will second that nomination. Are there any more nominations? So, councillors, can I please have a councillor now move that Councillor Neely be appointed delegate and Councillor McKern as sub-delegate of the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board and Yarra Plenty Regional Library Audit Committee. Moved Councillor Champion and seconded Councillor Castaldo. Do you wish to speak to the item, Councillor?
Thank you, Mayor. Just very quickly, I'm very looking forward to working on the board, on the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board with our new delegate, Councillor Neely. And I'd like to thank Councillor Tom Melican, our Deputy Mayor, for his work on the board for about the last 4 years, isn't it? 8. Oops. For the last 8 years. So thank you very much, Councillor Melican. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And does our seconder wish to speak? No? Councillor Neely, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And thank you to the councillors for nominating me. I'm also like to thank Councillor Melican for resigning. Is that the right term? Sorry. Retiring, stepping down. There's lots of ways to say that. And I just had a few points about Ms Councillor Melican's contribution to the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board. Councillor Melican was nominated to the board in 2012 and was chair for that, and was chair back then, as well as in 2020. Is that right? During his time on the board, Councillor Melican has overseen the refurbishment of the Watsania Library, and he was instrumental in advocating for the new Ivanhoe Library and Cultural Hub. Councillor Melican is passionate about children and families and providing opportunities for the community to improve their lives. He's an advocate for library staff and has always been willing to support and acknowledge them for their achievements. He attended the library staff development days, took part in the activities and handed out staff recognition awards. And as a board member, Councillor Melican also regularly supported other board members by attending events across the region and officiating whenever asked. So I'm not sure if you're unhappy about leaving, but thank you for all your contributions.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak?
Yeah, this was a timing issue. I was chair of the board and I couldn't resign from that position when we made these appointments until the first meeting of the year when it's handed over to Whittlesey to be the chair of the board. So I was happy to continue for that short period. I will miss the library board a lot. It was extremely interesting, but I'm very happy to have someone much more educated and much more in tune with the needs of children than I am to step into my place. It's been a privilege to be on the library board. You work with some very wonderful people and some very enthusiastic people who are dedicated to supporting young people and people right across the spectrum. It's been a real privilege, and I hope that Councillor Neely enjoys it as much as I have. But I'd like to thank Jane Cowell, for the CEO of the library, who's been a tremendous support and a real inspiration to, and has turned the organisation around. And it's a credit to her that we have done so well. Our libraries are well visited, well maintained, and really appreciated by all the staff. So it's been a wonderful experience to be on the board, but I'm very happy to pass it on to someone who's very capable and I think will take it to the next level. So well done to Alison and to Elizabeth for your stepping up.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No, I'll put that motion forward. All those in favour and those against, declare that carried. Item 7.1, proposed leases, Sky Children's Cooperative Limited and Children's Protection Society Incorporated T as Kids First Australia, in brackets Fairy Hills Preschool. We don't have any speakers and we have a recommendation on our papers. Can I have a councillor move? Councillor Castaldo, and seconded Councillor McKern. Do you wish to speak? No? Does any councillor wish to speak?
One of these organisations is in my ward, and a great organisation that do a lot of very good work again, and very happy to support this. And I know the one in Fairy Hills, I had the privilege of visiting that a few times. Great organisations, really support the kids, really assist so much and do so much for our community, and we should acknowledge them. And I'm very pleased that council's in this space. Happy to support this lease continuing and looking forward to some more growth in this area as we move to the 3-year-old kinders and all the exciting plans we have for these kindergartens. So we're happy to support the lease tonight.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor? I'll now put that motion forward. All those in favour and those against? I declare that motion carried. Item 7.2, procurement of energy through power purchase agreements. Once again, there are no speakers, and I understand that we have wording to the recommendation that differs slightly from those in the papers. Councillor Castaldo.
With item 1 as is and item 2, in exercising the delegation in 1 above, the Chief Executive Officer is to confirm Council's baseline energy cost and modelling of business as usual energy pricing and only sign the agreement if the final power purchasing agreement offer is less than the expected business as usual cost over the power purchasing agreement contract period.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo, for moving. And do I have a seconder? Councillor McKern. Councillor Castaldo.
For those listening tonight, we are close to committing to 100% renewable energy for all councils' electricity usage across all assets, and it will reduce our council's emissions by more than 50%. This is the single largest reduction in emissions the council will and can ever make, most likely. It is a partnership with over 47 other councils in Victoria and is a joint commitment to a clean and green future across local government sector. I'm happy for this amended recommendation to progress based on all previous recommendations, reports and advice to councillors. We anticipate that the contract will go ahead and will be a great outcome for our environment and deliver financially. It's been a long journey, and I look forward to being part of a council that cleans up its energy usage and takes a very, very serious step in taking climate change seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKern, do you wish to speak? No? Does any other councillor wish to speak? No? I'll speak briefly just to highlight 2 points. One, in terms of the second point that was included by Councillor Castaldo, I think it's important to highlight to the community that as a council we don't sign blank cheques to the Chief Executive. So we're very clear that in enabling this delegation to occur, that the agreement will come back or must come back lower than our baseline electricity costs. And I think the fact that we're confident in moving that as part of the resolution indicates a very, very strong confidence from the officers that this is going to come in well below our baseline energy costs. So not only are we achieving a terrific environmental outcome for the Banyule community, we're actually saving this council and by extension our ratepayers significant dollars each year. And once that PPA is finalised, we'll come back with a report or an update to the community on the financial savings being generated. And I noted Councillor Castaldo's observation that this is a massive step forward in achieving our corporate emissions reduction plan. We set an ambitious target to be carbon neutral without permits by the end of this decade, by 2028. In our first year of that target, we achieved a 10% reduction. By Councillor Castaldo's calculations, with the adoption of this PPA, we'll be well over 50% of that target within 2 years. And I can only say if only every other layer of government were able to move as quickly as we are to get the ball rolling and to make things happening, 50% within 2 years of our target. I'm very, very pleased about that outcome and very excited to be part of a council that's driving these things so strongly forward. Do you wish to sum up, Councillor? No? In that case, I'll put the motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? Declare that carried. Item 7.3, the award of contract number 1089-2020 for managed tyre service for council fleet. We have no speakers and we have a recommendation on our papers. Can I have a councillor moved? Councillor Di Pasquale, seconded Councillor Malacan. Do you wish to speak? No? Any other councillor? No? I'll put that motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? Declare that carried. Item 7.4, award of contract number 1070-2020 for automotive smash repairers, vehicle detailing and towing services. There are no speakers and we have a recommendation. Can I have a councillor moved? Councillor Matsinikos, seconded Councillor Neely. Does any councillor wish to speak? No, I'll put that motion forward. All those in favour and those against? Declare that motion carried. Award of contract number 1084-2020 for the provision of hire of plant and operator. Once again, no speakers and we have a recommendation. Do we have a councillor moved? Moved Councillor Castaldo and seconded Councillor Malacan. Does any councillor wish to speak? I'll put that motion forward. All those in favour and those against? Declare that motion carried. Item 7.6, award of contract number MAV NPN 2.15-2 for the provision of heavy plant machinery and equipment. We don't have any speakers and we have a recommendation on our papers. Call for a mover. Moved Councillor Di Morales and seconded Councillor Neely. Does any councillor wish to speak to this item? No, I'll put that motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? Being none, I declare that carried. And the final item in our contracts considerations for this evening, the extension of contract number 0999-2020, the Centre Ivanhoe Venue Management, Catering and Hospitality Services. Once again, we don't have any speakers and I'll look for a mover for the recommendation. Councillor Champion, seconded Councillor Malacan. Do we have any speakers? Councillor Malacan.
Yeah, I'll just say that this is slightly different to the other two, but I think the fact that people don't speak to these items, I don't think that highlights indifference or not caring. I think these things are scrutinised extremely well. I think it shows the level of confidence we have in the officers and their ability to get the best possible deal, scrutinise all the bids for these tenders and come up with the best outcome for council. And I think it's a vote of confidence in our executive team, in our fleet management team, and the other teams are involved, and particularly the catering team or the Coles team, functions team. Sorry, I think it just shows the vote of confidence in those individuals and those processes and the teams we have, that we trust them that they will come up with the best possible answer. And I think as a council we're well served by some dedicated, hard-working officers whose opinion is respected, and I'm quite happy to support these tonight.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor? Yeah, look, I just would further add to what our Deputy Mayor has said, that these items were effectively progressed quite quickly this evening, but councillors did review and scrutinise each item. And just as an example, with reference to this particular item, a question was raised by myself and other councillors of the Chief Executive as to why we were looking at a 1-year extension for the contract and not potentially a shorter time frame. And there was discussion about that and an adequate response was provided. So I think it is important for the community to know that there is that level of review and scrutiny, but we don't always bring that to the chamber. I think the other thing that has been highlighted to me is that when we look at our review of the delegations, our delegations are relatively low by sector standards, in terms of what the CEO is authorised to approve, and perhaps officers could look into that when the review of the delegations comes up to council in the future. Any other councillor wish to speak? No, in that case, I'll put the motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? Declare that motion carried. Item 7.8, highlights report for the new council term. We don't have any speakers. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to move? Thank you. And I will second. Councillor Malacan.
Yeah, thank you. It has been an extremely busy start to the year. I kept thinking the issues we had pre-COVID still exist. The issues around climate change, the issues around the North East Link, they still exist and are still real and still require a huge amount of work and effort from this council. But then COVID-19 came along a bit over a year ago. The social isolation, the economic impacts, the impact on our funding, but the impact on our residents has been huge, particularly the most vulnerable, and that's been very difficult to work with. But during that period, we've still continued to work, and we took a decision very early that local employment was important and we needed to get projects up and running and make sure that we support local businesses and local employment, and we've done that. And it's in the report, all the projects we worked on, but I think the real highlight is the Ivanhoe Library and Cultural Hub, which is a magnificent building. The support and the comments we received from the public to date have been magnificent. The opening is on Thursday. I think it has been so well received, it's beyond expectations, and I think it's a credit to this council and the people we had to work on that. But on top of that, we've had the impact of the Local Government Act and the changes that's required us to take at an administrative level. That has been huge, and I think we've done extremely well with that, ably assisted by Gina Bergman and her team. And when also, we were seeing earlier, we've undertaken the biggest public engagement process this council's ever taken on. And I think that's been very rewarding and very successful. But I think the biggest highlight for this council to date has been the new council. And I look at some of our neighbouring councils and they're not going as well as we are, you'd have to say. That this council has come together. We've got 4 new faces. And the level of openness and engagement and the work ethic of those councillors has been outstanding. And I think it's given us older, more experience, a new lease of life, because it's a new atmosphere and a new vibe at this council. And if you're not on board, then you'd be foolish. I think the new ideas, the skills and the enthusiasm that new councillors have brought to this council has been transformative. And I think the officers feel that as well, that this is a new council, new ideas, new faces, and it's been simply amazing. And the way we've come together to support each other, to help each other, and to make sure that we're all on board with every issue. And it is extremely daunting when you get on council, and I think the new councillors have really shown their willingness to participate, to work as a team, and to support each other. And I think, to me, it's given me a new lease of life to be on this council, and I think this community should be very happy with their decisions to vote for these 9 people, because it is an extremely good, hard-working council, which I think will take us to wonderful places. And I'll compare some of our neighbours who aren't in a good boat, but I think the highlight of this year, I think, has been the forming of a new council and the work and the enthusiasm they bring to it, and I'm very, very proud to say I'm a Banyule councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other councillor? Councillor De Pasquale.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. Would like to say a few words, and I'd love to listen to and hear from some newer councillors and what their interpretations of the first 100 days are or have been. What I see, Mayor, on behalf of the community, we have gelled together very well, I feel. We are working as a very, very good team. So, and we've already got many, many runs on the board, so the community should be seeing that. But I do want to just take the time to just acknowledge that the reason why we have come together so well is because there are families at home of our councillors, and particularly the new councillors, who have allowed them to come to meetings and briefings and be trained up, etc. See, Mayor, we actually, the new Local Government Act too, was there was so many more things that we had to, or the council had to implement as well. And that's been a lot of work and a lot more that the new councillors have had to take on. Mayor, when we got on 2 terms ago, I don't remember going through as much as we have this time going forward. It's remarkable how well we've done and how hard the new working councillors have worked. And I just want to thank their families. So thank their families for being able to allow them to be here, be at all the meetings, the briefings, the trainings, and to look after whatever needs to be looked after at home or outside of here so that they can, freely represent the community and make the decisions on behalf of the community. So I just want to thank their families and support that they have at home. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Matsinikos.
Thanks, Mayor. It's 100 days. It's been busy, and looking at our list of what we've achieved, I can see why. In the last week, I've attended the Victorian Mosque Open Day in Heidelberg Heights, the season launch of the Yarra Junior Footy League, Park Sounds, disc golf, and various meetings, and there were plenty more that I couldn't attend. For me personally, it wouldn't be possible to do what we do on council without our family support. My husband George and our kids are my rock, and my in-laws provide lots of support too when I have somewhere council related and hubby is at work. I'm fortunate to be part of this fantastic council group who work so well together, and for us to all have the support of our CEO, directors and the support staff. Sometimes the decisions we make on council can be incredibly hard, and when we make decisions we have to think of so many people in our community, and I want residents to know that we don't take these decisions lightly, and we spend a lot of time listening to the community and researching before making our decisions, and your community feedback is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Champion.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Around election time, one of my lovely Sherborne residents and one of our business owners, just in a conversation, happened to say to me, Alison, I'd really like to see some more argy-bargy in the council meetings. And I'm really sorry, I'm going to disappoint you, but that's not this council. This council isn't here to fight against each other. This council is not full of egos who are self-interested, who wallow in their own self-importance. This council is for its community. This council listens to its community and wants to hear from it. We value all of your input. So please provide it for us. We want to hear what it is like for you to live here and what you would like to see happen. And it is our responsibility to listen to you and involve you in those decisions. We simply make decisions here, and we really want to hear from you what it is like for you, what you want to see. So we thank you for your input. As a councillor working in Banyule, I personally have come to love working with our executive management team and our managers and also our staff, our day-to-day, full-time, part-time, casual staff. There is a lot of love for Banyule amongst these staff, and they don't all live here. However, they love to work here and they love to see the best for this city, as we do. So thank you all for your support. This, for me, is not just a workplace. This is actually a significant part of my life, and my life is well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Castaldo.
I'd like to read out the list of activities we've completed or finished, but I wouldn't be able to do it in the time allocated, so I'm not going to do that. But there's a lot in my ward, there's a lot of things I care about, and there's a lot of things people have worked hard on, officers, councillors and the community, and it's because of a joint effort. We don't always agree. I know I don't get always 100% support, but most of the time we work together as best we can. We do that as a council. It's a challenging environment, but I'm proud of the collection of projects we've delivered, commitments we've taken on board over this 100 days. It's been incredibly difficult. This is not like what I thought council would be like when I started, and it's certainly a surprise, and I thought after I've been here for a little while, things would get easier. It hasn't. But I think we've delivered well for our community. I'm proud of the collection of things we've delivered, and I look forward to working with my fellow councillors and the community in a contested environment all the time. This is a commitment that all of us as councillors have taken on. It's 4 years. There's no retiring from this. It's not like that. It is a serious commitment by our partners and families as well, who lose us many evenings and weekends. And I'd just like to highlight all of the other things my fellow councillors say, and totally agree, and thank you for all the contributions you make on this council too.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As a new councillor, I'd like to express the big change in lifestyle. So many more meetings, briefings, community activities, launches. I've had the pleasure of meeting numerous groups in our community, and I've tried to spread myself across a range of different groups so as not to be seen to be biased: community, sports, environment and other groups. And in many cases I've been joined by fellow councillors, which has been a wonderful opportunity to get to know them, because I am committed to working in a team environment, because I believe that's how you get the job done. At all times over this 100 days, I've kept my priorities and values tattooed on my forehead, so I'm not about to forget those in a hurry. I've been honoured to be selected for 2 boards, the Northern Alliance Greenhouse Action Group and the Darebin Creek Management Committee, and have felt very quickly a part of those groups and hope to feed back a lot more information to my fellow councillors about what those groups are doing and how they contribute to making Banyule, not only Banyule, but adjoining councils, a better place to live. So I too want to thank everyone who has reached out to me and continues to reach out to me, and to my support team. You know who you are. And last but not least, thank you very much to my family, who've endured more absences than they're used to, but are coping well.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors? I'll make some brief comments. First, I'd just like to thank our Chief Executive for personally authoring this report and presenting it to Council. Thank you, Alison. Really appreciate this report. And through the CEO, we would just, as Mayor, on behalf of Council, would like to extend our thanks to the directors, managers and the entire staff. So we've heard how tremendously busy and challenging it has been for the councillors, and we know how tremendously busy and challenging it has been for the staff. And I think it's been a true partnership of councillors and staff coming together and working together to achieve a superb level of delivery and achievement for our community. Some of the highlights for me in the first 100 days was the Belfield Community Centre, private housing and social housing launch. That was just a massive partnership that's just going to deliver such tremendous benefits to an area in our community that needs it the most, as well as delivering much needed jobs. The launch of the social enterprise in Rosanna and the continuation of an enormous program of work to create jobs and opportunities for those in our community who need them most. To Jeff and the capital team, I believe that our capital delivery continued very strongly in very challenging circumstances of COVID-19, and we've continued to see projects roll out right throughout the city. To Mark, well done on getting our debt down. while federal and state governments have racked up debt in what was a tremendously challenging and difficult year for the council, we've continued to pay down debt and stay on top of the finances and have a council that is very well positioned to navigate the challenges of the future. To Tom and Kath, just thank you for the tremendous work that you've been doing in your respective areas, and we know the volume of requests coming through to customer service in the communities area and in particular planning. We've just seen when it's come to traffic, to planning, people are spending more time in their local community and they're demanding a higher level of service, and we've really seen that come through, and I'd like to just thank those areas for responding to that demand, which really brings me to, I suppose, what was one of the core philosophies of this council around customer service, and we do have a customer service promise, and I know that we haven't always met that customer service, but certainly from myself and from the CEO and the whole council, the buck does stop with us. And so any email, any phone call, any query or concern from the community, we've made a really concerted effort in these first 100 days as well to really embed a true culture of customer service. In the annual banner that will come out, we will highlight in actual figures the amount of jobs that we're creating. The figures aren't in this report, but through the combined Capital Works program, Belfield, Rosanna, the work that we're doing on climate change, the work that we're doing with partnering with organisations, social procurement, we are delivering jobs. And we said that when we got elected that our job in coming out of COVID was to create jobs and to support the community and to get the community back on their feet. And that is something that we have delivered as a council. And I'm tremendously proud of that and tremendously proud of the work of everyone in this room and this organisation in achieving that outcome. I'll now put the motion for, Deputy Mayor.
Can I have a right of reply, please, Mr Mayor?
Absolutely.
It was very remiss of me. I should have mentioned the efforts and the job our Mayor is doing, and I think he's done a magnificent job. None of this would have been achieved without his leadership, and I think he is a huge reason why this council has come so well together. And I think he's done an excellent job as our Mayor, and I think everyone would agree. Well, I know everyone would agree with that. But I'd also like to thank the CEO as well, because her guidance and her assistance has also been a tremendous factor in our success. And I know that will continue, but I'd just like to thank Rick for his efforts and support. And it's been a fantastic job so far, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year working under Rick, because I think as mayors go, I think he's been the best I've seen.
Thank you, Councillor. The best you've seen. I thought it was worth highlighting that again. I'll now put the motion forward. All those in favour? And those against? I declare that carried. Record of councillor meetings. No speakers. And we have a recommendation. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Champion and seconded Councillor Neal.
Mayor, I've just noticed a slight discrepancy in one of the dates, which I don't know if makes a difference, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Point number 2, date of meeting, the Yarra Flats Park at Ivanhoe East was actually on the 19th of February, which was a Friday, not the 22nd, which was a Monday.
Thank you, Councillor. Well, are you happy to move that we accept that report with the amendment noted? Moved Councillor Champion and seconded Councillor Mitsinikos. Does anyone wish to speak to that item? No? I'll now put that motion forward. All those in favour and those against? Declare that carried. We do not have any documents to seal this evening, nor any notices of motion. On to general business, and I understand the Deputy Mayor, Heidel Care discontinuance.
Yes, I'd just like to acknowledge that the community group Heidel Care has decided to discontinue and donate their funds to 3018 Angels, and the Exeter community. Heidi Care was started in 1982, 38 years ago, by a dedicated voluntary group of caring residents seeking to offer short-term assistance to people living within the city of Banyule and to assist the elderly, the disabled and the socially and economically disadvantaged, families in need and people living alone. They provided vital transport for people with limited mobility or needed assistance in doing basic tasks from shopping to medical appointments. I was privileged to attend the afternoon tea held on the 14th of March 2021 to celebrate the achievements of the group over such a long period. Alice Heinland, who was there in attendance, who along with her late husband Bob were founding members. Her achievements were particularly recognised along with long-term secretary and voluntary coordinator Rosemary Velci and the current president Marilyn Keneally. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and with the difficulty attracting younger drivers, the group was finding it difficult to continue and very sadly decided to close. Heidi Care has been will be greatly missed, and I'd like to thank the many volunteers for their dedicated service to the Banyule community for over 38 years. This highlights the need for council to assist vulnerable and ageing residents to convenient and safe access to vital services, and something we need to consider, I think, in future is that how we replace or how do we assist in this area now that Heidi Care goes. But it was a wonderful afternoon, full of some very delightful people, but it was very sad actually to see such enthusiasm and such dedication which will not continue. I know some of these people are supporting the people they have got to know, but there'll be no new volunteers coming in. It was a very sad afternoon in that respect.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKern, you have 2 items.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On Tuesday, 16th of March, Councillors Di Morelos, Melican and myself attended a Harmony Week event in the West Heidelberg Community Hub. One of the event highlights was the launch of the book Tears of the Trees by Abdi Wali Farah Kambi, I hope I've pronounced that right, who is an elder of the Somali community of West Heidelberg. The book is written as a fable about an axeman who chops down the village trees for his own gain and the subsequent damage it causes the village, its people, the land and the animals. Abdi Wali Farah interweaves recent Somali history and culture into a message urging us all to value and protect our natural environment, particularly our trees. It's encouraging to see cross-cultural expressions promoting the value of our natural environment. If you're interested in a copy of Tears of the Trees, there are limited copies available through Olympic Adult Education in Heidelberg West, and they will be available in our Yarra Plenty regional libraries in Ivanhoe, Rosanna and Diamond Valley. So if you're not urgently wanting to read the book, you might wait till they're available in the libraries. My fellow councillors and I wish to thank all the organisers, participants and helpers of this fine event, including Olympic Adult Education, Banyule Council staff, Banyule Community Health and West Heidelberg Community Hub. Special thanks to Abdi Wala Farah for his very valuable and very special book about why we need to care for our environment and our trees. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, and I think you've got another item as well that you'd like to raise.
Another one about trees, Mr Mayor. Do you think I'm passionate about them? Yes, large canopy trees are the single most defining feature of Ivanhoe's neighbourhood character. Last Sunday on the 14th of March, I was very lucky to lead a walking tour with local heritage arborist John Fordham to view 19 of Ivanhoe's significant trees, 19 of Ivanhoe's best, as listed on Council's Significant Tree Register. The tour was promoted by Sustainable Community Ivanhoe. Being a trial run, we had a group of 20 enthusiastic local residents who were captivated by the grandeur of native, indigenous and exotic trees ranging in age from 50 to 400 plus years. The aims of the tour were to promote awareness and appreciation of Ivanhoe's large canopy trees, engage discussion and community participation in protecting our trees by nominating more trees for the Banyule Significant Tree Register, encourage more such tours for our residents in Ivanhoe and all of Banyule. Interested community groups or individuals wishing to express their support for this initiative can contact their Banyule councillors and also contact the environment team through customer service. If you wish to nominate a tree for the Significant Tree Register, nomination forms are on the council website. And finally, I do wish to thank everyone who participated on Sunday, with special thanks to Tanya at Sustainable Community Ivanhoe, John Fordham and Ian McKern, who did a great job looking after the group, making sure no one was left behind and crossed the road at the right places. Thank you too to council staff who helped collate and supply information on individual tree specimens that made the walk so interesting, and to fellow councillors who share a passion for Banyule's large canopy trees. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. And I believe Councillor Fiona Mitsinokos, you have an item?
Sorry, thanks, Mayor. On Tuesday night, I attended the Yarra Junior Football League season launch in Bulleen with Councillor Melican, Castaldo and McKern. It was a great night to meet key figures within junior footy and to meet the local footy club presidents, vice presidents, secretaries and other volunteers who spend many hours behind the scenes getting the footy clubs ready so that all our kids can play. Local sports couldn't do it without them, so thank you to all the volunteers out there. I have a very excited child who returned to training a few weeks ago and he's having his first game this weekend. And yeah, he's pumped. He's ready to go. Go, Johnny.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other general business items? No, so we'll move forward with the agenda. Public questions. We've received 9 public questions, so thank you to the public for submitting those. The public questions will be included in the minutes of this meeting, which will be available on our website later in the week. We'll now look to close the meeting. So the next ordinary meeting of Council will be held on Monday, the 12th of April 2021. And I now close the meeting at 8:08 p.m. and thank you all for your attendance.